Welcome to Mr. Investor, My Real Estate Dojo. Gang, today's topic is about how to find 39 ways on how to find motivated sellers. Some for free, some for a little amount of money, and some with a good chunk of money. As we have talked about, motivated sellers is where the money's at. So let's just dive into this and move forward because we have a lot of stuff to cover today. Now I'm going to go through the whole list. There's not one that's better than the other. They're all going to work. And if you want this to work for you, you got to use at least 3 to 9 of these ideas and implement them. And when you make more money, you want to put more money into the marketing machine to have more systems working for you to get more money. So let's go. Number 1, the first way to get customers is basically to use online classifieds. What do I mean by that? You can do Backpages, do Craigslist. There's so many online classifieds out there. And there's 2 ways to do online classifieds. Number 1 is what I call passive. Okay? And what the passive way is, basically you make an ad, you place it online, like for example on Craigslist, and wait for the sellers to contact you, which is very effective. But a better way to do it, which I would recommend doing both ways, is be proactive. And the proactive way to do it is that not only you're going to be the passive way, you're going to place ads online, but more importantly, you're going to get on the online classifieds like Craigslist and make cold calling to sellers or sending emails to sellers, okay? So that's number 1 way, which is online classifieds. The next thing you could do is basically do mail-outs, all right, direct mail. And now there's a lot of different stuff to do in direct mail, so I'm going to go through all of them for you. So this is the mail-outs. The number 1 thing you could do with mail-outs is to mail out to out-of-state landlords, okay? There's 2 ways to basically get this information. One is to go to the county clerk's office and pull up the tax roll and do street by street, which takes a lot of time. I don't recommend that. The best way to do it is basically go to a mailing list dealer and buy a list from them for 1,000 or 500 or 200, whatever it may be, and you ask them, hey, I need to find out-of-state owners in this zip code or in this county, and they'll give you the list. And what you're going to do is send out flyers to them. Now, out-of-state landlords are very, very motivated because they may be making double payments. They may live in California and the property is in Texas, and therefore they don't have a lot of control of the property because they're not there. They can't go visit it. Or more likely, they're accidental landlords, which they had a job transfer or something of that nature. So I love out-of-state landlords, and I love marketing to them. I send them postcards, I send them letters, etc. And another thing you could do with the mail-outs is to mail to the expired MLSs. And what that is that when a seller tries to sell their home, they hire a realtor, they put it on the market, on the MLS, and it doesn't sell and it goes expired. Now, the average person or investor like you and myself will not have access to the MLS. Therefore, you need to get with somebody that's a realtor and maybe pay them some money or work a deal with them. Say, hey, if I buy a house, I'll allow you to list it to get access to the expired MLSs. Now, the expired MLS is a very, very effective way to market, to find motivated sellers, is because these people have tried to sell their property and for some reason they couldn't because they needed a lot of repairs or they priced it too high or whatever the story may be, and now you're getting a chance to market to them directly. All right. My favorite out of the mail-outs or direct mail is divorces. A lot of couples that go through divorce and they buy a house by having 2 incomes, the husband and the wife. When they get divorced, they can't afford the house anymore. And so it's a really good way to market to these people. And the only way that I really found to buy it, or you can't really buy it, is to get the information of people going through divorce, is going to the county clerk's office and basically pulling out the divorce records and cross-referencing cross-referencing them with the property and figuring out where they live and sending them letters, okay? Now, it's very effective, but it's time consuming. But remember, whatever it takes a long time, it's going to generate you a lot of money. The next mail out step you could do is basically to target foreclosures. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. People are in foreclosures, need to sell their home quickly. So there's two ways to basically get that. You can buy the list from, once again, a mailing list dealer, or you could go to your county clerk's office and pull that data out and send it to them. I personally don't like doing foreclosure because there's so many seminars teaching people how to do that I feel like there's a lot of competition in there, and I don't like it. But it's very effective. I know other investors that had make money doing that. So just because I don't like it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. But it's definitely one of the 39 ways to find motivated sellers. All right. Other stuff you could do with the mail outs is to find people that are delinquent in their taxes. And what I mean by that is that the way I do this is I target people that are behind in taxes for 3 years and the house is vacant. Again, they're behind in taxes for 3 years and the house is vacant. That makes them a lot motivated than them being behind just 1 year, okay? And the way to find out information is database mail out dealer, or you can just pull it on the tax roll. But the county clerk's office, the comp controller, tax section, they'll have that information. You can pull it out. It's going to take a lot of work, but remember, with hard work comes a reward. Another thing you could do for the mail outs is to send out letters and postcards to people that are doing evictions. What that means is that when an accidental landlord or even a professional landlord has renters in their property, the renters have not paid, and therefore they're going to the courthouse to evict these deadbeat renters. A lot of times you can find accidental landlords that are now really sick and tired of renting their property because they have to do this eviction. There's a lot of stress on them to go to the court and evict them, but more importantly, making payments on the house is not generating them any money. Where you can find these motivated sellers and market to them through the eviction process system. The way you find that is basically going to the county clerk's office or the courthouse where the eviction happens for every county and getting that information, okay? Another way to do mail outs is direct mail, is to send letters to sellers that have code enforcement violations. What that means is it could be many different things, but let me give you an example. They might not be cutting their grass, and the grass is going very long. So the city will come give them citations. And these things cost money, ladies and gentlemen. So you can mail out to people that have code violations and get business from that through direct mail. Now, let's go to some other ways to market and find motivated sellers. The next way to find a motivated sellers is what I call contacting FSBOs. A FSBO is somebody that owns the house and they're trying to sell their house on their own without a realtor, okay, for whatever reason. And basically there's two ways to do this. Is you contact one, FSBOs for sale. Again, these are people that are trying to sell their house themselves, or you contact them, people that are trying to do for rent. So there's two types of FSBOs, people that are trying to sell their house themselves or people that are trying to rent their house themselves, okay? Now, both of these works pretty good, so you got to contact them. You can contact them through direct mail, you can contact them by knocking on doors, you can contact them by cold calling them, etc. All right, the next way to find motivated sellers is basically through networking yourself. What do I mean by that? You can find people that are bird dogs. For example, your hairdresser, your personal trainer, anybody that deals with a lot of different people or customers, you could let them know that, hey, if you find a motivated seller and you explain to them what a motivated seller is, if they refer you that customer, that you'll give them some money, $200, $100, $500 when the deal closes, okay? So networking is a very powerful tool. All right, the next way to find motivated sellers is what I call fit for dollars. And what I mean by that is that every morning or every afternoon, you go out there in your neighborhood and get up and walk or jog or rollerblade or ride your bicycles by yourself or your family or your kids. Spend some quality time and just walking or jogging in your neighborhood looking for motivated sellers or looking for FSBOs. One of the ways you could do that is, that's why I call it fit for dollars, is because you're getting fit plus you're going to be making money. So what you do is, what I do is I get up in the morning, I start doing my jog, and I'm looking in my neighborhood. I go different directions every day looking for my neighborhood, houses that have tall grasses, or houses that the roof looks like there's patches on it that nobody's taking care of, or houses that have a bunch of flyers at their doors, which is a sign that the seller's not there, the house is vacant. So I'm basically looking for distressed houses when I am jogging or getting fit. And then what I do is I go to the county clerk's office and I pull that address up, find out the name of the owner. Maybe they have a different address they're getting letters to, and I start sending them letters and contacting them that way, okay? Or you could use a skip tracer service to find those abandoned homes like we have talked about, okay? The next way to find motivated sellers is what I call driving for dollars. Now, what that means is, you get in your car and you just drive around your neighborhood or whatever neighborhood you want to buy property in, and you look for distressed houses. Once again, houses that have big old grasses in front of them, houses that look like they don't get any love, houses that have a lot of flyers on their doors. You get the idea. And you do the same step as Fitness for Dollars. You contact these sellers and try to work a deal with them. All right. The next way to find motivated sellers is called bandit sign. And a bandit sign is basically signs like this. I'm sure you've seen them all over town that says we buy houses, any condition, and your phone number. Okay? Actually, my first deal when I got into the real estate investment world was through a bandit sign. Okay? Now, let me warn you, a lot of cities and counties have codes against bandit signs. So you're not going to go to jail, but maybe the code enforcement or the police will give you a call and write you a ticket, okay? Now, I've done bandit signs for many, many years, and out of all those years, I've only gotten one ticket. Now, can you get a ticket? You absolutely can, and maybe it's not the most ethical way to advertise. But for me, it has worked, and the ticket I just added to cost of doing business, just like anything else, just like the cost of gas. So that's why they're called bandit signs. They work, but it's up to you if you want to implement them in your business. Another way to find motivated sellers is by doing a car wrap. If you look at my videos, you see that we have a smart car that's wrapped around and says we buy houses. That roughly costs us about $1,800 to wrap the car. Now, you don't have to go to that extreme to wrap your car. You could always do these little cheap magnet signs which you could order online for $50 or $100 that says, we buy houses. Put them on your car, put them on your kid's car, put them on your wife's car. And every day that you're driving, you're not just wasting gas anymore, you're actually advertising. Another very effective way to find motivated sellers is basically wearing t-shirts that says, we buy houses. I wear these t-shirts all the time when I go to the gym, when I go grocery shopping, when I go to Starbucks, when I go to the park, family reunions, whatever it may be, I wear these shirts, and believe it or not, people will come up to you and say, hey, you buy houses, I'm trying to sell my house, or I have a friend that's trying to sell their house, or whatever it may be. So wearing a t-shirt that says we buy houses is a very effective way to find motivated sellers. All right, another way to find motivated sellers is through business cards. You could have business cards like this, where it says, we buy houses on the back, and then you put these out everywhere you go. You put them out at the grocery store, you put them out at the library, you put them out at Starbucks. Whenever you get gas, you put it on top of the gas counter. Whatever your imagination allows you, put these cards out, and you will get calls from them people want to sell their house or buy a house or rent a house from you, okay? Another way to find motivated sellers is to buy leads from lead generation websites. There's a lot of websites online that generate leads, but they're not in the business of buying houses. They're in the business of generating leads. And for a couple of $100 or $10 or $20, you can just buy leads from these individuals and then work these leads. All right. Another way to find motivated sellers is basically using YouTube. You can make videos that says, hey, I buy houses, any condition, yada, yada, yada. Please give me a call or click on our website. If you want to do a search, for example, go to We Buy Houses Irving in Google, and you'll see me on there saying that we buy houses. And so one way that I figured how to do this is very effective is to do a YouTube video for every city in your county. For example, I live in Dallas-Fort Worth County, so I have about 30 videos about every city: Irving, Dallas, Plano, Frisco, etc. And it says we buy houses and the city name, okay? That's very effective. Another way to find motivated sellers is basically by Google Images. For example, the picture of the car that we have that's wrapped, you know, we save that image as we buy cars. So when somebody does a search, not only is there the sponsors where people that pay per click, but there's that organic search, and then there is videos, and then there is images. So if you save images by keywords, Google's going to pick that up and spit it back in the search results, which may get you some calls or some leads. All right, guys. The next way to find motivated sellers is to do SEO. So if you have a website, you can do SEO to be able to rank organically on a search result. And what I mean by that is if somebody types in "we buy houses in Dallas," if you have good rankings on your website, you're able to come up on the first page, hopefully number 1, number 2, number 3. Now, SEO is getting more and more competitive, so it's hard to come up, but doesn't mean you can't do it in your city or location, okay? All right, guys, another way to advertise, to find motivated sellers is through bloggers. There's a lot of bloggers out there in different industries that have thousands of viewers or followers, okay? And what I like to do is go contact these leader bloggers, for example, that have 5,000, 10,000 viewers, or even 1,000 followers, and say, hey, buddy, I'm willing to give you $50 a month. I'm willing to give you $100 a month. Whatever you guys can negotiate, and say every time you post a blog, put a signature of my company's information, or put my banner there, or in the email broadcasting that you do, put on there just a little text that says we buy houses and our phone number, okay? This is very, very effective. It's a very, very cheap way to get a lot of eyeballs from somebody else's hard work. So again, bloggers. Another way to find motivated sellers is to basically call pay per click. Again, pay per click. You could use Google, you could use Bing, you could use Yahoo. And basically when somebody does a search in Google, the ads you see on the right-hand side or at the very top, usually the first or second ads you see on the very top, that's called pay per click. And you can find customers that way for sometimes very cheap, sometimes very expensive, depends what your location is. If you're in California, it's going to be a lot more expensive than if you're in some little town in the country, okay? So it's very effective, but depends what your location is. Another way to find motivated sellers for a small amount of money is basically to target people on Facebook and people on Twitter that have what I call Facebook leaders or Twitter leaders. And what you do again is you find people on Facebook that have a lot of followers, 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, and you say, hey buddy, I'm willing to give you X amount of dollars every time you post an ad on Facebook. Put my ad on the bottom of it as a signature. Same thing with Twitter, okay? So in a nutshell, you find leaders in Facebook that have a lot of followers, and you work a deal with them to give them some kind of small compensation or some kind of money. In return, they're going to advertise your company for them. I found that very effective and very low cost to get customers, okay? And talking about Facebook, Another way to find motivated sellers for basically for free, only through your sweat equity, is basically doing social media marketing. Now, this is different than finding Facebook leaders. This is your own Facebook page, or this is your own Twitter page, okay? Where you connect with other people on Facebook and you let them know what you do, or you let your family know what you do through Facebook. So this one is different than the other one that I just previously mentioned, which is finding Facebook leaders. This is your own Facebook account where you're out there advertising what you do and bringing value to your own followers and letting them know that you buy houses. All right, another one that's cost a little bit of money, but it's a lot cheaper than it was 10 years ago, is basically radio advertisement. Now, when I say radio, I'm not only talking about FM and AM, which costs more money, but there's also now satellite radio. There's also internet radio, okay? Internet radio is a lot cheaper than satellite or FM. And with today's technology, any Bob or Jose could have their own radio show, okay? And you could find radio shows that have only 1,000 listeners or 2,000 listeners or 10,000 listeners, okay? From many cultures, from the Asian community to the Persian community or the Hispanic community. And you can contact these little guys. They're just one-man show, but they're pumping good information on the internet to their followers, and you contact them and say, hey, let's work a deal out. Every time you run your radio, announce my company information that we buy houses, and I'll only give you X many dollars, $50, $100, whatever it may be, okay? Or you go all the way to FM and AM radio and pay money, but remember, you can negotiate to get a lower price because there's so many different types of radios today, where 10 years ago it wasn't like that. Here's another good way to do marketing to find motivated sellers. It's what I call co-op marketing. And what you could do is, since you're an investor, you could get with a realtor, you could get with a roofing company or a construction company or a mortgage company or whatever, and go to these people and say, hey buddies, let's put our money together and we'll do advertisement and we'll split the lease. For example, we'll go ahead and print out some flyers, and on the slides we'll divide it up into 3 pieces. One is going to be for you, Mr. Mortgage Broker, and one is going to be for you, Mr. or Mrs. Contract Worker, and the other one's going to be for me, that we buy houses. That way you guys could pool your money together and get more area covered for the price of one person can do, okay? So it's called co-op marketing. I love this because it really works. It helps out the community. It helps out multiple people. And then you build a relationship with these people that you're doing co-op marketing, and you guys could even generate leads and pass it to each other for everybody to make money. This is what I call a win-win-win. All right, another way I love doing, which doesn't cost a lot of money, is basically flyers. You could print out flyers and hit a zip code, or hit a subdivision that you want to buy property in. Or you could make out flyers and put it at the gas station, put it at the library, put it at a Starbucks, at the grocery store, put it on people's cars, etc. Put it at a gym, so on and so on. It's very effective. All right, the next way to market and find motivated sellers is what I've created, and I love doing this. Is called the human billboard, is what I call it, the human billboard. And basically you go to the sign shop for about $100. You get a big old sign that you can wear, or you can just hold like this, and you go to during traffic hour, rush hour, okay, from lunch or in the mornings or afternoons, and you stand in front of the traffic or on the sidewalk of where busiest intersections are, and you just hold the sign up, or you just wear the sign. It has the front and the back, and you just walk around, and people do call you. And what does it say on the sign? Simple things as, we buy houses, all cash, any condition, please give me a call, or something just like this, okay? And you will get definitely calls from that. All right. Another way to advertise and find motivated sellers for a very small amount of money, and this is something that I have done using my creative side, is basically in some towns this is not going to work, but other towns like big cities, like for example in Houston, in Dallas, I couldn't do this. I live in Dallas, but in Houston I did this. There's a lot of homeless people out there. There's a lot of people that peddle for money on the corner of the streets. And so what I did is that for my other company, I bought all these homeless people shirts like this that says, name of my company. It says, are you moving? Name of my company and the phone number. And so these little homeless people are basically walking every day peddling for money wearing my t-shirts. It's a great way to help the homeless people out. It's a great way to help myself out. It's a great way to help people that need my services. Once again, this is what I call a win-win-win. Everybody wins. So in a nutshell, you just make shirts, give it to homeless people. They're peddling for money on the corners, and 24/7 they're advertising your company's name out there while they're begging for money per se for people in their cars. I love this idea. It's a win-win. I definitely get results from it. Another way to find deals or market to find motivated sellers is through other wholesalers. Basically, whenever you're driving around and you see bandit signs that says "We buy houses," you give these people a call. Or if you're on Craigslist, you see other investors that says "We buy houses," you give them a call and say, "Hey, buddy, can you put me on your buyer's list?" And what that means is that whenever a wholesaler finds a deal, they're going to shoot you an email or send you a text or call you and say, "Hey, I got X deal. Do you want it?" And of course, you got to pay them some money. But on the other hand, the benefit for you is that you don't have to do all the footwork, the advertisement, answering all the phone calls, going to look at each of the houses and giving offers all day long. So you're just buying the deals, So if you're trying to wholesale, you really don't want to do this. But if you're a fix and flip guy, investor, or if you're a buy and hold investor, buying deals from wholesalers is a great way to go. And so you don't have to spend a lot of time with your sweat equity. Another way to get deals or to find motivated sellers and is very affordable, or I call even free, is basically door knocking. So what do I mean by that? When you're doing fit for dollars, or if you're doing drive for dollars, or whenever you're driving and you see a house that has a FSBO on it, or a house that has the grass too high, you just go knock on the seller's door and say, "Hey," introduce yourself. "Hey, I'm Mike with Mr. Investor. I was wondering if you want to sell your property." Something like that, okay? It's very simple, doesn't cost a lot of money, and you can do it all day long. Or you could get a list from a list dealer, and instead of mailing out to them through direct mail, you can just go knock on doors. It's a lot cheaper than sending thousands of mails out there, because mails do cost money. You have to pay for the flyers, you have to pay for the envelopes, you have to pay for the stamps, you have to pay for the time to stuff these items. You could do it, or you could pay somebody else to do it, but either way there's a cost to it. Or if you don't have that much money, door knocking is a great way to go. Another reason why I love door knocking for new people is that it builds you the courage to get rejected. It builds you the courage to talk to people. It helps you to think fast on your feet, okay? So there's a lot of benefits to door knocking. Another way that you could market to find motivated sellers is basically the newspaper. Now, you could run an ad in the biggest newspapers, for example, like Dallas Morning News, or which I don't recommend unless you have a lot of money. The other thing I like to do is to run ads in the small newspapers. Like, I'm from Dallas, Texas, so there's a lot of small companies like the Green Sheet, the Penny Saver, things of that nature, or local cities like White Rock, Valley Ranch. These little cities in the Dallas area, they have their own little newspapers that they send out that talks about what's going on with the cities and how the football team is doing and things of that nature. And you just target these little magazines or newspapers and have your ad run out to that. It costs a lot less, but at the same time, there's not that many eyeballs. So remember, more eyeballs cost more money, but more chances of getting deals, okay? But still very effective and good bang for your money. Another thing you could do is basically do promotional items. Well, what do I mean by that? You could do hats, you could do t-shirts, you could do pins, you could do cups, calculators, and then you give these out, okay? You could go to the job fair, or you could go to different places and just give them out. For example, I do pins, and every time I go to a restaurant, I drop 5-6 pins for the waiter. And guess what? That waiter's seeing maybe hundreds of people a week. And every time somebody's signing their bill, they get to see, hey, we buy houses. And if they want to sell a house, guess what? They're going to just take that pin. I think pins are a very effective way to market. I leave them at the gyms. I leave them at the gas stations. Anywhere that I go that people need to sign a credit card or a debit card. Very effective. Doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's not a free way to advertise, but it's a very good, effective way to advertise, okay? To find motivated sellers. Another way you could market, which doesn't cost a lot of money, is through email marketing. Now you could buy email list, which I don't recommend. You could create your own list through online classified ads. Or you could set up feeders. For example, you go to Google and set up a feeder. You go to Craigslist and set up a feeder that anytime somebody posts on Craigslist, for example, that says, I must sell, that you're going to get an email notification, and then you can email that seller saying, hey, we buy houses. Just Google that, and there's a lot of people that are going to show you how to set it up, okay? All right, another free way to advertise is called cold calling, okay? Now, cold calling is hard for many people, just like door knocking, but once again, it's a very cost-effective way. It's absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is your cell phone or landline, whatever it may be. And you're going to call people. You're going to sit there and make 300 calls a day. I highly recommend making 100, 300 calls a day. If you have no money, no capital, then you're only left with cold calling and some of the other options that we talked about earlier, creative marketing, okay? So cold calling, who are you going to call? You can call FSBOs. You can go and get a free newspaper and open it up and call all the people in the rental section, or you can call the people in the for sale section, okay? So cold calling is a very effective way to find motivated sellers, and it's called cold calling because you're basically soliciting to people that don't want you to be solicited to, and that's why it's called cold calling. Warm calling is to call your own leads. When, for example, you do some of this marketing ideas that I just talked about, somebody goes to your website and they shoot you an email or they fill out your online form. See, that's warm calling. They're actually inviting you to call them. Where cold calling is, you pick up in Dallas Morning News, somebody says they're trying to sell their house, and you just give them a call. And now you got to go to a lot of people, you got to go to a lot of dirt to find the gold nuggets, but you got to do what you got to do to make it happen for yourself. And if your why is big enough, you'll make it happen, because that's exactly what I did when I didn't have any money and I started the business. Okay, I had to do a lot of cold calling. All right, another way to find motivated sellers, now this gets a little bit more expensive, is that you could do a TV ad, okay? Now, TV's become a lot cheaper because of the online TVs, okay? Or you get apps on them to watch TV. So instead of maybe running a TV ad on the cable, you could run a TV ad on the apps, okay? Or on the internet TVs. And so they're becoming more affordable than they used to be 10 years ago. But TV is definitely a way to go. But if you have no money, I wouldn't recommend that. If you have money and you don't want to do sweat equity, then TV ads are a good way. Instead of running, again, an ad on the cable, you could run an ad on the app of that TV station, or you could run it on the online version of that TV station, okay? It's a lot cheaper. Well, gang, I've given you 39 ways to find motivated sellers. Some of them will cost very, very small amount of money. Some of these ideas, marketing ideas, will cost $0, and some of them will cost significant amount of money. Now, it's up to you to go out there and take action and make your dreams come true. Remember, don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the negative people in your life. It might be your family, it might be your friends, it might be the newspaper, it might be the radio. Don't listen to them. If your why is big enough, if you know why you got to hustle and bustle, go out there and do it. I've just given you all the tools you'll need to find motivated sellers. And as we talked about, if you're not dealing with motivated sellers, it's going to be hard to make money as a real estate investor. But if you deal with motivated sellers, you're going to get deals all day long. Even if you don't know rock from an atom, if you don't know left from right, if you talk to a motivated sellers, they're going to give you the deal for free, okay? So your job is to go out there and market, take action to market, set up appointments, and go meet motivated sellers, okay? This is Mike with Mr. Investor with the Real Estate Dojo, and I'll talk to you later, gang.